Okay, so let's go over today's trade recap. The only trade I ended up taking, which ended up being a win on ES. We'll go over the logic the trade itself, the idea behind it, and why I took it on ES as opposed to for like where I am and QRTY. So let's start from the daily framework. And ideally actually show you. Let's see, do I have the high time frame? Can I do? Ideally show you what I was looking at prior to the driver here. Okay. So this is the daily candle. Let me do this as well. So you can see we're trading a reversal candle, right? A very large wick in itself. I'll just go over the trade on ES real quick, and then we'll talk about the context behind it. So here there's like two stage with this gap, right? And then we get this V-shaped 30-minute, and pretty much this is what I entered off of. Right? You can see it's a V-shape. We're trading away from this, just the low of the day, and what did this low trade into? Right, this daily swing point. I will talk about why I chose ES. Wait, it's 30-minute. So I enter here on the retest, stops at the low, and I target 2R for the high today, right? I really didn't really think we would have expanded higher. I'll be completely honest, was not expected this much. That's why I just take my piece of the pie and just leave, right? I don't really care what happens after that. As you can see though, the opening price, which is here, really trade above that. So ideally you trade towards this. Um but the next best thing is the high of the day, right? So take this entry right here. By the way, you could also trade the 50-minute, like you get this 50-minute CSD here as well, or this gap. Now I wouldn't place my limit order at the gap, right? I'd rather trade the CSD because it's more likely to be filled. In fact, this gap does not. Oh, I skipped a little bit too forward. Okay, where you just see plays out, right? This gap does not get filled. We do get SMT fill here as well. Um, mm, mm, mm. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the trade I took. I'll go over, show you guys the executions. I believe I'm not logged in. Okay. I'll pause and I'll show you in a second. Okay, so I'm logged in Tradeaway and I took it on MES. And these are the executions, right? This is the 30-minute OB. This trade is actually like pretty much zero drawdown. Couple ticks of drawdown here. Pretty crazy. So how did I manage this position? And near the close of this candle, I won't break even because we pushed like so high up. We got the CSD, right? I mean, so we didn't still get it, right? So I mean, let me pull up this, pull up the position tool. So we're very close to 2R, very close to the high of the day. And this candle here, it's a C2, 50-minute C2 into expansion, okay? All right. So once we get this high up, see what YM was doing, or it was manipulating the lows. I pretty much near the close of this candle, I went break even. You ideally should have just waited, but I guess I guess we got a 1-minute CSD here, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I just trusted this to hold, and ideally we don't even come back all the way to the CSD. So my stop was at the lows. And yeah, if we're gonna expand, that should have been the low. If we're gonna go below this low, we're probably gonna reverse here. Whatever, it didn't happen, of course, but now let's go over the framework here. Why did I trade ES and NQ over YM? We know even RTY, whatever. So it all comes down to wick size, and I mean not wick size actually. It comes down to the space between these two. Right? You see how this to me, especially like on the 4-hour, looks like a much better V shape than like in the sense of like when it happens and where, right? Off of this low, right? You can see these are very spaced out, and this low is very far from this. We go on NQ, right? It's pretty much the same. NQ actually ended up being the stronger asset with the driver, but nonetheless, it would have been pretty much the same. Alright, first same positional entry here. And you can get to our the highest point of the day. I think there's not two. There is a second. Yeah, it's like this. Oh, do we have a gap though? So yeah, like you can see there's like no gap here. So it is like this with YM, but there's no gap. Honestly, I'd rather trade ES at this point, and you can get 2R, but I mean, essentially would have been a little bit higher up. Well, I mean, it's pretty much the same trade. I'll be honest, but I didn't like the framework. See how like we're fairly close to this low. We're much closer. So this to me doesn't really scream like pretty good. And let alone fucking, I mean, I'll talk about YM, man. I would have never touched this shit. I would not touch this. This is not like, even though we've been in a range, okay, like I would not trade it away from these fair swings. Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? So the only asset that made sense for me, okay, so we're gonna trade higher. And it makes sense. It's off of this low, and yeah, I mean, so I traded towards the high today. Very simple. You can see this is a V shape, right? Also, the thing that was a little bit sus is that there's no cracking correlation here at the reversal. If you look, right, it's like no crack there. So like, I'm not trusting this to hold, even though we have gaps. Like, necessarily, we could just run through these gaps and then, yeah, I don't like this framework. Now, we do have a low resistance liquidity on the left, so I guess that ended up being the better draw on liquidity, but I still like, I don't like this framework, right? I would trade NQ or ES, like, even though they have a larger wick, daily wick, that's why I'm expanded higher. Not necessarily first, right, as you can see here. Expand, but it did expand higher because I had the smallest wick. Ideally, if it takes this low, I would definitely wanted to trade YM. And let's just look at RTY as well. See, same thing, right? It's leaving this low. Same context, and the weekly close here is also way more bearish. Now, this could be internal towards external, as I said. I mean, I said it in the recording, yeah, or you guys don't have access to that, but or you guys can't not see, but this could be like internal range towards external, with this week trading towards this high, not necessarily hitting it. I think. I mean, with today's volatility, might even be possible. But yeah, I mean that's the cleanest framework, and I believe there was a continuation off of this gap. No, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't really want to trade NQES. Right, so this is the range high, pretty much. I don't want to trade NQES because they're very high into their day, and they have a larger wick, right? Once we get displacement, right, ideally, if you want to trade away from this, I honestly would much rather wait for failure to manipulate, which we get, right? Look at this hourly close, right? We close about the highest point of the day. That's how I can anticipate that this is not manipulation and we're likely to expand towards this high, right? I wanted to trust this low. I probably wanted to wait for something like this. However, at this point in time, I was not on the charts, so I really did not care. And we get this CSD. It's a little bit iffy. Yeah, I guess you probably should use this. But yeah, I mean, it just works out, right? This would have also been a pretty good trade. And once we fail to manipulate this, yeah, again, as I said, I can trust this to remain open. And why did I not take YM as a position, right? Because it was very close to this high. You can see like a couple ticks away. Look at this. First of all, I wait for 9 AM open, so it would have been this candle. So I would have loaned something like this. So just like wick size, but I mean, not stop loss size. Yeah, it would have been too large. I could have waited for this gap to form, but at this point, I don't know. I'll be honest. I didn't really like this 50-minute CSD, or I mean, I guess the 50-minute is fine. This 50-minute is fine. Never mind. I didn't like the 30-minute. You can see this. These opposing candles are really not it. And yeah, we got a gap and whatnot, so you could trade the gap. But again, I just this looks way better on NQE, as you can see here. It looks way better. This is way more bulk here, and also with this 30-minute low, there's two cracks in correlation. Like this is so good. Of course, you don't need this, but yeah, like this OB is way more bulkier, right? I don't really care about a small little 30-minute gap if the OB is like this, right? The OB below it is this, because like this is a small gap. This gap like gets like traded through. We're gonna run through this OB as well. I'm gonna hit this low, right? And that's all I'm looking at. It's a valid trade, of course. I'm not saying it's sure. Well, that's why I didn't take this personally. I didn't take this, and I thought it was probably gonna fail, or is likely, not probably, honestly. Like it was a little bit less likely to work out than NQES, but that's just my opinion. And honestly, sometimes I think this does deliver. Actually, most of the times, probably. Yeah, probably most of the times this is enough to deliver higher, but yeah. And then if I didn't take that trade, I would probably take the continuation here on my end, right? Because we just have fair swings here. And we just failed to anybody all of the shit. Like, it's just so good. So, well, yeah, that's gonna be it. Wait, did I show a P&L for this day? I think I didn't. Okay, whatever. This is gonna be the P&L one. I'm trading. I mean, so this is like one funded account and an EVA, so that's why it's 1,000. Otherwise, like I didn't make this much on a funded. So yeah, whatever. That's the P&L, and yeah, that's gonna be it. I'll see you guys probably tomorrow or back in session.